I want you to be honest. How many of you are bathroom singers? Yes, you heard it right. A place which we all imagine like a little concert hall where we become stars of the show regardless of how we sound to anyone else. Well, that's what the poem is going to be all about today. Finding joy in those private moments despite challenges and adversities that might come our way. So stay tuned. Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to discuss Shane Koyczan's poem Beethoven. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin. In this video, we are going to discuss the background and context of the poem. We will discuss the central message and I am going to give you the line-by-line meaning and explanation of each of the lines of the poem. So stay tuned. I know the video will be a little long, but if you are patient enough, you are going to master it in no time. Shane Koyczan is a Canadian poet, writer and spoken word artist known for his powerful performances, and he explores themes like identity, love and social issues in his works, which often blend personal experiences with the universal truths of life, offering insight into human condition. The poem Beethoven delves into the life of the legendary composer Ludwig van Beethoven, highlighting his struggles, particularly with his father's harsh treatment and his eventual loss of hearing. The poem portrays Beethoven's relentless pursuit of musical perfection despite difficulties that he faced in life, emphasizing the profound impact of his compositions on him. The central message of the poem revolves around the resilience, the dedication of human spirit in the face of adversity, and how art has the power to bring about a change among individuals. It celebrates Beethoven's unwavering dedication to his craft despite personal and physical challenges, which ultimately emphasizes the power of music to bring about a change in the individuals. And mind you, it is going to be a positive change. So let's see how. Let us now discuss the line-by-line meaning of the poem. Listen. So the poem begins with a command to listen, setting the tone for an exploration of sound and its importance. His father made a habit out of hitting him. That is, the focus shifts from the very beginning to Beethoven's relationship with his father, who is depicted as someone who was very abusive, demanding, and would hit or punish his own child. Beethoven's father is portrayed as physically abusive, reflecting the harsh treatment that the little boy had to endure during his childhood. Some men drink, some men yell, some men hit their children. So the poem acknowledges the various forms of abuse that exist within families, highlighting the prevalence of violence in the family system that was afloat at that time. This man did it all because I guess all men want their boys to be geniuses. That is, the justification for Beethoven's father's behavior is stated over here, suggesting that he believed his harsh, cruel treatment towards his child would mold his son into a genius, and that is the wish, the dream, the aspiration of any parent, to see the child prosper in life, to become a genius. And what was the way out of Beethoven's father? That he would abuse him. Beethoven, little boy living in a house where a name meant nothing. So the focus from here shifts to the little boy Beethoven as a child, emphasizing how innocent, vulnerable and weak he was. His upbringing is characterized by a lack of recognition, status or identity, suggesting what a humble background he belonged to, because his name meant nothing, that he was not born into a family of Kapoors or whatever, that he would get his recognition. Living in a house where mercy had to be earned through each perfect note, tumbling up through the roof to tickle the toes of angles. So, in this environment, Beethoven's father demands perfection from his son with love and forgiveness, which he equated to musical achievement. The imagery evokes music rising upward, suggesting the celestial quality and spiritual significance that music had, whose harps couldn't hold half the passion that was held in the hands of a young boy who was hard of hearing. So Beethoven's passion for music was beyond things which existed in nature, highlighting the talent which was inborn. It was there by birth in him, and it made him be a very devoted person towards music, because even the harp, the musical instrument that he would hold in hands, was nothing compared to the way in which his hands would play the music onto that instrument. Even though we see that in the poem it is highlighted how Beethoven eventually had a hearing loss, which was a significant challenge which he would face later in life, because if you cannot hear what you are talking, what you are playing on your musical instrument, imagine what a difficult and challenging task. It's an almost impossible task of being able to play music in that way. Beethoven, who heard his father's anthem every time he put finger to ivory, that is, despite the deafness, Beethoven internalizes the harsh criticism, the wrath, the anger that he faced from his father, which becomes a constant presence in his mind. That is why you should always treat your children with a lot of respect and care. Every time he put finger to ivory, that is, Beethoven's father's disapproval echoes in his mind whenever he plays the piano, driving him to further strive to become perfect at his craft. Because Beethoven was still a positive person, I could say, but if today someone tries to demotivate you or pull you down, very few individuals will be able to come out of that. They will remain stuck in that very dark space. But Beethoven, on the other hand, used it as a way to motivate himself. It was not good enough, so he played slowly. That is, Beethoven's relentless struggle to achieve perfection is depicted through his varied attempts to meet his father's expectations. And when he could play no more, when his fingers cramped up into the gnarled roots of tree trunks, that is, the physical toll that took place on Beethoven's dedication is evident over here. He pushed himself to the point of ultimate exhaustion and pain. His fingers would get all cramped up because of excessive labor of trying to perfect himself at whatever he was doing. It was not good enough. That is, despite the efforts that were put in by him, his performances continuously fell short of his father's standards, reinforcing the fact that he was never able to please his father. He was always unhappy with his son. Beethoven, a musician. So this line serves as a reminder of the subject of the poem, that is Ludwig van Beethoven, the celebrated composer. His profession is highlighted, that is, emphasizing his identity as a composer and performer, without his most precious tool, his eardrums. So this line refers to the deafness that Beethoven had, which is portrayed as a profound loss considering his occupation as a musician. His eardrums, which were essential for hearing and perceiving sound, are ineffective, could no longer pound out rhythms. That is, his inability to hear prevents him from accurately producing rhythmic patterns or beats in his music. Despite his deafness, he continues to compose the intricate symphonies within his imagination, indicating that ongoing creativity and music genius of his mind. He is depicted as unable to hear the applause and appreciation of his audience, missing out on the external validation of work. Imagine the compliments, the applause, nothing could be heard by him, but still he went on relentlessly. That was the dedication he had towards his craft. He is unable to hear the expressions of admiration or affection from his admirers and fans. He is portrayed as being oblivious to the whispered conversations and reactions of the audience members, including those who are seated closest to him. So you can imagine there is an advantage and a disadvantage here. The advantage is that there are going to be people who might criticize him for his craft, so that way if he is not being able to hear their feedback, it is good for him. But on the other hand, people also need external stimulus or motivation, which he would not be able to hear because of his hearing deficiency. The focus now shifts to the audience, who are deeply engaged with Beethoven's music. His music is described as having a profound physiological impact on listeners, suggesting that it affects them at a deep nervous system level. The intensity and the forcefulness of the music's impact is compared to a powerful fleet of ships, in evoking a sense of grandness, the magnitude, the magnificence of the music that he produced, almost comparing the impact of his music to the explosive cannonballs, which if dropped somewhere, of course, would have a deep physical impact. So Beethoven's music is portrayed as triggering a chain reaction within listeners, affecting them on a molecular level and causing intense emotional and physical response. This transformative effect of Beethoven's music is compared to the explosions which happen in the outer space, suggesting that his music would make his listeners be transported to a different world altogether, highlighting the power and the profound emotional and sensory response which was generated through his music on the listeners, leaving track marks over every inch of their bodies. That is, the imagery suggests that Beethoven's music leaves a lasting impression or imprint on listeners, similar to any physical marks which would be left. The impact of his music is portrayed as including every part of the listener's being, suggesting that the music had a capacity to capture interest at all levels, making them ache for one more hit. His music evokes a deep emotional response in listeners, causing them to feel a longing, craving, yearning once more for the song. Beethoven is characterized as being addictive in nature, suggesting that his music has a compelling and irresistible attraction. And kings, queens, it didn't matter. That is, this line emphasizes that Beethoven's music transcends social status or hierarchy, affecting listeners from all walks of life equally. The man got down on his knees for no one. That is, Beethoven's humbleness and devotion to his craft made him very humble. He did not bend down to any kind of greed. He is depicted as making a sacrifice for his art, symbolized by his decision to modify his piano to enhance his ability to feel its vibrations. So he could feel vibrations through the floor when the orchestra played his symphonies. He modifies his piano to intensify the sensory experience of music, so that through vibration at least he would feel the music even if he could not hear it. It was the echoes of his father's anthem, that is, Beethoven's criticism from his father, resurfaces, suggesting that despite achievements, he continues to struggle with the feeling of self-doubt, inadequacy, because he was not able to please his father. The recurring nature of Beethoven's father's criticism is emphasized, suggesting how it had affected his psyche, but it did not affect his dedication towards his craft. Like a broken record is not good enough. So these lines employ onomatopoeia to mimic the stuttering repetition of Beethoven's father's critical voice in his mind, highlighting how it used to haunt him every time he composed music. The repetition of this phrase reinforces Beethoven's perception of his work as constantly falling short of his father's expectations. Despite the grand achievements that he was making, he was just not able to please this one man in his life, that was his father. So they played slowly, not good enough. So this line refers to the musicians attempting to play Beethoven's compositions slowly, perhaps in an attempt to mock or challenge his style. Despite their efforts to copy or imitate Beethoven's music, the performers feel that they are falling short of his standard of excellence. So they played softly, not good enough. They attempted a second time, but still, the performers realize that their attempt to mimic Beethoven's style does not meet his level of mastery. So they played strongly. In another attempt, they tried to imitate Beethoven. The musicians play his music with strong and forceful expression, yet they are still not able to replicate Beethoven's intensity. They feel that they will never be able to meet or match up with his standard. So they tried to mock the man, make fun of the madness. That is, when the musicians were frustrated with their inability to copy or replicate Beethoven's brilliance, the musicians now take to mocking them. And please be careful in your life also. When people are trying to pull you down, remember it is their incapability which is making them pull you down. It is not your shortfall, but it is theirs which is making them behave that way. So they mock Beethoven's unconventional behavior, and they think that this person might be a genius, but he has become mad. The musicians imitate Beethoven's gestures and mannerisms in a way that they want to ridicule him, holding their bows a quarter of an inch above the strings. That is, the performers hold their violin bows, preparing to play as they continue their mockery of Beethoven. This precise measurement emphasizes the meticulousness, the care with which they were trying to mimic Beethoven's exact technique. But despite their preparations, the musicians intentionally try to produce the sound. However, they are still not able to disturb him because he was already deaf and he would never be able to hear the mockery that he was being subjected to. Right? Ironically, the musicians' attempt to mock Beethoven results in a perfect imitation of his conducting style, indicating that their imitation, which they were doing to mock him, to make fun of him, ultimately turned out to be quite perfect. So finally the stanza ends with C. This word invites the readers to recognize the irony of the situation and appreciate how unintended perfection of the performer's mockery led to a complex relationship that was established between imitation and mockery. That is, if you try to do something bad to others, karma, as I say, it's going to come back to you, and you will not even realize that what did I do wrong that I'm having to suffer in this way. But remember in the past how you might have treated someone wrong, which is why you are being subjected to a situation like that. The deaf have an intimacy with silence. This line suggests that deaf individuals have a deep familiarity and comfort with silence, as it is a constant presence in their lives, because they are, as it is, not able to hear anything. It's there in their dreams. That is, silence is present even in the dreams of deaf individuals, emphasizing the profound nature of their sensory experience. And the musicians turned to one another, not knowing what to make of the man. That is, the focus shifts to the reaction of the musicians who were witnessing Beethoven's behavior. They are puzzled and uncertain about how to interpret Beethoven's actions and personality. They attempt to analyze, to calculate and understand Beethoven's behavior, searching for a kind of explanation to why he was behaving in a certain way. They think about the fine line between madness and genius, recognizing that Beethoven's strange, unconventional, unique behavior indicates the either extreme, that is, either he is mad or he is a genius. The musicians come to understand that Beethoven's compositions and artistic vision is beyond the traditional boundaries and limitations of any kind. His music has the power to transport listeners to a far-reaching experience which cannot be mimicked by them at any cost. The imagery used of reaching past the towers of Babylon evokes the idea of how his music has the power to surpass the limits of human achievement and ambition, suggesting the boundless nature of Beethoven's artistic vision. His music is portrayed as having cosmic significance. It is related to the cosmos, transforming the celestial bodies of the universe into symbolic representations within his compositions that crash together, causing comets to collide. So his compositions are compared to celestial phenomena, celestial occurrences, resulting in collision and convergence of cosmic elements, suggesting how the transformative and awe-inspiring nature of music Beethoven had. Creating crescendos that were so loud they shook the constellations until the stars began to fall from the sky. That is, his music builds up to a climactic point of intensity known as crescendos in music. It's a term used in music where the highest point that a music composition can reach at a particular time is known as a crescendo, described as being exceptionally loud and powerful. The force and intensity of his music is portrayed as so strong, so immense, that it causes even the stars from the sky to tremble, to vibrate and shake. The impact of his music on the cosmos, on the universe, is depicted as being so profound that it disrupts the natural order of the universe, causing the stars to fall from the sky, and it looked like the entire universe had begun to cry. That is, this phrase serves as that point of transition or change. That is how his music extends beyond the entire universe, showing it had not just got a significance which was limited to earth but to the universe, suggesting that even universe was crying because of the emotional impact that was there of Beethoven's music. Distance must be an illusion. The man must be a genius. So this line challenges the conventional, the traditional thought processes that we have, that distance and separation, suggesting that Beethoven's music has the power to bridge gaps and connect even elements or things which are far apart. It serves as a transition point, and the poem somewhere is on the verge of concluding, where towards the end we are getting to know that Beethoven was a genius. He was someone of an extraordinary nature with a unique musical talent and creative vision. Let's see what are the final lines of the poem. Beethoven, his thoughts moving at the speed of sound. That is, the line serves as a reintroduction of the poem's subject, Ludwig van Beethoven, the renowned musical composer. His mental processes are described as occurring at an extremely rapid pace. The simile compares the speed of Beethoven's thoughts to the speed at which sound travels, emphasizing his quick and profound creativity. His ability to translate complex emotions into musical compositions is highlighted, emphasizing the deep emotional impact, the depth of his work. The emotion of joy is depicted as tangible and palpable experience. Joy is characterized as something that can be physically felt or experienced, highlighting how his music had the power to immerse individuals into something very, very deep. Like for the first time, we could watch love and hate dance together. The focus shifts to the themes of love and hate, which are explored in the context of Beethoven's compositions. Love and hate are personified as things which are engaged in dance, suggesting how there is a kind of dynamism in whatever he would do. This line indicates a moment of realization or clarity, suggesting that through Beethoven's music, the listeners gain insight into the complexities of human emotion. The poem suggests that the historical context or background of Beethoven's life is almost secondary to the emotional and artistic impact of his music. All we ever had to do was listen. So the final lines of the poem emphasize the simplicity of experiencing Beethoven's music by simply listening. The poem concludes with a command with which we began, highlighting that the only thing one can do is to actively engage with Beethoven's music in order to be able to fully appreciate the depth and beauty that lie in his artistic compositions. I will discuss the major themes of the poem elaborately in another video because this has already become very long, but this will also serve as a quick revision for you. So what is the main essence of the poem? Number one is resilience and perseverance, that is Beethoven's dedication to his craft despite personal and physical challenges highlights the theme of resilience. He never gave up. His dedication was very strong. His father was unsupportive. People were trying to mock him, but he continued to go on to pursue his art. Secondly, it shows the transformative power of art, particularly music, to transcend any challenges and connect with the audience on a deeper emotional level. It is one of the central themes of the poem. Thirdly, the thin line between genius and madness is explored in the poem because we see the way Beethoven believes people merely think that he is someone who is mad, but it is only towards the end that we and the people who were trying to mock him realize that he was a true genius. His music serves as a universal language that bridges the divide and promotes connection, transcending differences in culture, language and background. So we see how this poem highlights the profound impact of Beethoven's musical compositions. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.